Thank you for this, Carol. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I have 6 up there and 206.
Thank you very much. Indeed.
Oh my gosh, so
And we'll see how we are. There we go. We're not. Okay, Carol, you can begin our music.
oh my gosh. Which one? Let there be peace.
Yes. And now let us sing together. Let there be peace on earth. On our new prayer card. And we can be seated. And I welcome you all this morning to our Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church. And I will begin with our invocation. Thank you, Creator Source, for bringing us all together. And as we come together, we open our hearts in gratitude for this space, for this opportunity for friendship and our connection to Spirit. And with this, we truly say thank you. Blessed be. And now, our intention, which says a lot about how we lead ourselves in our church. We are fortunate to have a variety of speakers for Sunday services. By using guest speakers, we gain wisdom from all those who share. This is a church where we can worship the God of our own understanding, a place to experience joy and be uplifted, a place where we can gain strength and inspiration to share with all we meet throughout the week. We invite you to join us in this celebration of life, to nourish our spirits, and to enjoy the company of kindred souls. And now we will sing hymn
Number 6.
number 6.
Morning has broken.
Morning has broken.
Yeah.
And we will sing just one verse because we got a little late start.
Okay.
Thank you, and you can be seated. We will now turn to our new prayer card for our principles, and then our church affirmation. We read it together. We believe God is the eternal source and creator of all and is present in everything. Our eternal soul, endowed with free will, grows through many lifetimes. Communication occurs between the physical and spiritual worlds. Prayer and meditation strengthen our connection to the divine. All healing comes from Source. Seeking this for ourselves and compassion for others' suffering is the highest priority. Because we are all one, what we do unto others, we do unto ourselves. The choice of love is always open for every soul. Living these principles leads us to grow in divine love. Amen. Now I want to take a moment to introduce our church. We started in 1913 as a spiritualist church of Duluth, and in the late 90s, we became the Interfaith Church, Lake Superior Interfaith Community Church, in our formal title. And we are led no longer by a pastor. We are led by a board of trustees. My name is Carolyn Sheets, and I am the board president. And I'm joined by 7 others. The 8 of us together make a dynamic team. 5 of us official board members and 3 of us extended board members who have been invited to come serve with us as we learn our history more and our more minds thinking out loud together. So we are grateful that we have this community and that we are growing. We have chosen to grow in this new time and renew ourselves. Today I want to also recognize that we have a few announcements. Next week we have Ellie Schoenfeld speaking for us. And Ellie is a beloved poet in our community and a beloved spirit of a soul. She has agreed, in fact, she agreed last winter to be our speaker because I asked her and she said, I'm going to ask for old ladies' privilege or something like that, old ladies' prerogative. She said, I don't want to come until spring because I don't have to think about the winter weather. And so I said, you've got it. And so she's coming the first Sunday in May. And so that is terrific. And we have new things coming in May. We might have another workshop for mediumship. And we also will have some kind of a membership gathering at the lunch tables, short, getting feedback, sharing ideas, getting feedback from our people in after lunch one of the days in May. And then I want to introduce my own talk today because as we know, there's a lot going on in people's lives, and it's sometimes a jiggity-joggity path to have speakers. And so I thought I had a speaker for today, and it turned out 2 times that they had to move for very good reasons, and we'll come back later in the summer. And so I realized that I had some ideas that kept persistently coming to me. So I decided I would be the speaker on real short notice, but that's what we're doing today. And I'm speaking on love and compassion in these times. I think my official title is Trust and Compassion for Us Here on Earth. So I'm going to just very briefly mention my bio that is online in its full length, but really I'm so grateful for this church because I found this church in the early 80s when Reverend Hutchinson was still our leader, our pastor. We called him the Rev. He taught many of us meditation classes where we learned really about using our extended senses. And he had a darkened room, a bedroom that he had sealed off the light carefully so it was pitch black in there. And we would gather in a circle. And I learned to sense with my smell as well as my ideas that came and as well as hearing. And so we all learned to find what was most open to ourselves. And for me, that was a pivotal point in my life as a seeker. And I've said that I consider myself an artist first. I was going to school, college for art, and I always loved art throughout my childhood. And my mother supported all of us children with lots of art classes if we wanted them, and we did. We just went to art classes. And so my art has really turned out to be that I'm a creator. I'm a creator, I'm a creative person. I apply it to everything. And I think that's what we do with our creativity, and I think most of us are creative. And we don't have to call it or say it or even look like we're creating something, we're using it in our life. And so I consider myself an artist and a seeker. I was always always, even as a young girl, I was thinking about justice and peace and enough for everybody. Very Aquarian values, and I sure didn't know about Aquarius yet, but I sure was aware of those things. And then I also say that I think of myself as a healer and a leader. And the healing arts found me very young. At age 23, I became a massage therapist before we had the word. We were still masseuses then, and I was in a women's health club, and it was fantastic. It had a sauna, a steam room, a eucalyptus soak room, every kind of Nautilus equipment you can imagine, and 3 massage rooms. And the training for massage was you watched 3. There weren't schools yet. And so I was very fortunate to have that opportunity to work with amazing women who'd had massage around the world. And it was Madison, after all, very cosmopolitan city. And so the healing arts found me then, and then the healing energy found me in '82 through Walter Sippola of our very own church, who motioned me over at a folk dance up in Norway Hall and said, "Carolyn, I can't tell anybody else. I just learned how to love, how to heal with love." And I said, "Walter, I have to learn about that too." And it was Reiki. And so in '82, I took Reiki, and I also began my Kufutu journey, and I taught for 20 years across the country, and mostly across the southern portion, because I was living in Santa Fe, and all up in the Great Lakes area. So I had the opportunity to sit in circle with people, teaching them weekend-long classes about the healing work that is available to us. And Reiki had come first, and then Kufutu was a cousin, is how I like to describe it. And so that was immense training for me in my own spiritual growth, because I was working with the energy so steadily, so deeply. And then when I say I'm a leader, I have to admit that I was a leader in first grade. And it just continued on. So I'm getting this opportunity in our beautiful church to have what I'm calling a master class in leadership, because I really am a visionary leader, and a visionary leader, which there's lots of us, we get our ideas, we have a lot to share. A lot of them are very good. However, we're a mess because there's so many ideas, at least if you're me. And so anyway, we all bring who we are to our world. And that's how I come to you today. And now I want to lead us now into our prayer bowl time. And ask for prayers from our community. Our prayer bowl is here, alive all the time. And does anybody have any prayers they would like to bring to our community to share today?
Hello. Yesterday I received a message from our Marky Mark's sister. Her name's Angie, that he's in Miller Dwan Hospital with trigeminal nerve issues he's had for a long time. It's so bad. He hadn't eaten in 3 or 4 days, so he is on IVs. And do you know anything more? I want to hear you talk.
Sure. So, yeah, I also spoke with Angie, his daughter. I also spoke with Angie, his daughter, and he has dealt with that trigeminal neuralgia for over 20 years. He's had 4 operations at Mayo Clinic, and coming up may very well be the 5th one. And I do remember over all the years that it gives him such pain when there's the onset. And he can't, there are times when he can't even talk on the telephone. I remember that. And so he's had the surgeries, but then sometimes the effects wear off, partly because of the location where they have to do the surgery is so close to brain mass that they maybe can't do it the way they would do on some other people. But then he's given drugs, you know, to help along the way. And that's why sometimes, you know, and those medications do affect him, you know, in terms of how he's operating. But anyway, he's got a couple of other things that have complicated the situation with the trigeminal neuralgia right now. So, yes. And so he's just been in severe pain, and there he is now in the hospital. So we will pray.
The 2 of you are in touch with his family, so we thank you for that. And Marky is one of the most loyal members we could ever have of a community. And so you will tell all of us as soon as we know anything. If we needed to, we would send out an extra email to alert us. Do we know when the surgery will be? No. He's going to Mayo this week on a virtual thing. Yes. On Monday? On Friday. So we have to hold him high while he goes through this week, waiting for news. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anybody else? Come on up, Lucy.
For the people in Gaza and Ukraine, and that we can have peace on the earth. And also for the families and the hostages from Israel, that they'll be okay, and that we can have peace on the earth, and that the people in Gaza particularly are in a bad situation, and they'll all be okay.
Thank you, Lucy.
Just remember DeBar Ben says she's struggling with the death of her son. Anyway, I can't.
Thank you. Thank you. A long, long time member of our community lost her son. And I want to bring prayers for Jerry. Jerry Quaco, the rash that is so debilitating in terms of the level of itchiness. And so they were up most of the night, and so we pray for both Jerry and Jean in this journey they're on of solving this skin issue, which, no surprise, skin is our second largest organ. It can be a big deal. And then I also want to bring our prayer back to someone I thought was doing well, but Stephen Arculary, the husband of Mitzi Doan, who spoke here 8 months ago or so, and he had his leg amputated below the knee, and there has been continuous trouble with the sores and the wounds healing. So he hasn't even gotten to start to learn to walk yet. So it's very sad. And I just learned of this, and so we want to keep him and the family in our prayers as well. And then, as always, anybody else have a prayer? I sort of stepped in? Okay. And then, as always, Mother Earth, Gaia, on her journey with all of us to heal in peace on earth to come. Yes.
Just a reminder, just to extra prayers for our Lita, Stephen Lita. She's having a hard time, and so just energy, please send out to our sweet Lita. Thank you.
Yes, for our dear leader, Waterfall. All right, my dears, thank you. Now we will have some silent prayer for these names and for all in the prayer bowl, for our earth. And then I will bring us to our healing meditation and our talk today. So let us pray. And amen. Blessed be. And now for our healing meditation, I have an unusual teaching that I'm going to give you. And it's something that so aligns with holding our frequency and holding trust and compassion in our lives, and it's a tool I use every day, and it's easy, and all of you have heard of it, I'm quite sure, and some of you probably do it a lot, and it's tapping, EFT or Emotional Freedom Technique tapping on meridian points for rewiring our brain and bringing it into the present moment very quickly to change our frequency, to change our feelings. And so I'm going to play us a beautiful one that I use at least once a day, sometimes in the middle of the afternoon. It's called Create a Great Day, and it's on an app. And so I'm going to just review the points. And if you aren't, is anybody completely unfamiliar with tapping? Okay, then you probably know we tap on the side of the hand, we tap on the eyebrow, side of the eye, below the eye, under the nose, under the mouth, on the collarbone, under the arm, top of the head, and back to the eyebrow. And so I'm going to play this, and just do your best. You don't have to speak the words out loud. You can say them in your own mind, and I will say them with him, and I will tap so you'll be able to see if you lose your place in the tapping. And as I say, it's an experiment, but Steve thinks this is going to work with me playing the app on my phone with this microphone. Nope, I have to find it again, but it won't take long. Okay.
And let's do some tapping. We'll start by taking a gentle breath in and out. Tapping on the karate chop point. Repeat after me, either in your mind or out loud. So tapping on the side of the hand. On this glorious morning, I've been gifted.
On this glorious moment, we've been gifted.
I set the intention to create a great day.
I set the intention to create a great day.
Still on the side of the hand, I release any negative expectations about today.
I release all my fears and doubts
and decide now in this moment
and decide now in this moment
how I want to feel
how I want to feel
and what I want to experience.
and what I want to experience.
Still tapping on the side of the hand, I release the past.
I release the past.
I release the future.
I release the future.
I enter my precious now,
I enter my precious now,
full of joy and love.
full of joy and love.
Tapping on the eyebrow, I can create a great day.
I can create a great day.
Side of the eye, full of grace.
Full of grace.
Under the eye, full of synchronicity.
Full of synchronicity.
Under the nose, full of joy.
Full of joy.
Under the mouth, full of peace.
Full of peace.
Collarbone, full of effortless action.
Full of effortless action.
Under the arm, creating what I want.
Creating what I want.
Top of the head, moment by moment.
Moment by moment.
Moving back to the eyebrow, tapping on the eyebrow, relaxing your body, visualizing what you want to create today. Side of the eye, don't worry about what you're going to do today. Think about who you want to be today. How do you want to be today? Under the eye, how do you want to feel today? Under the nose, energized, peaceful, joyful, all of it at once. Under the mouth, see yourself today navigating the day, full of presence and peace. Collarbone so relaxed. See your day, full of presence and peace. Make this day that you want a reality. Do it now. Under the arm, creating what you want, relaxing your body, in control of your emotions. Feel that peace in every cell of your body now. Top of the head, feeling so strong, so safe, so confident. So aligned with what you want to create today. And you can gently stop tapping and take a breath in and let it go.
Thank you. Thank you for that experiment. Did you feel it? How fun it is? Like I say, we can change the words all we want when we're repeating it after them. And so I always do that. I always don't say fears and doubts. I say whatever I say. I say fears and doubts. I don't say what he said. Today I'm going to talk about holding our frequency. And what frequency do we want to carry in our day? And what frequency, in the big picture, helps us have trust and compassion in our life at this time on earth, and all the other attributes, feelings that we care about. And so I've been thinking about Gandhi, I've been thinking about Martin Luther King. I've been thinking about this heritage we have, this legacy of nonviolence, and the way that frequency had to play a role in this story that I learned about from Gandhi. And I didn't really create the time, and it really wasn't easy to create the time to do more research than I would like to do at some point, to find out how Gandhi began this, but it doesn't matter. We have this legacy, and we have Martin Luther King, who really both men were assassinated in the end, and I've been reading a very visceral story about it because another assassination of Robert F. Kennedy when he was running for president, and he was, through a series of events, brought very close to Martin Luther King. And he was working in his brother's cabinet. He was the Attorney General for John F. Kennedy. And so the riots were starting, unrest was happening in the South, and it was complicated with the election, but it turned out that through history I can't even begin to repeat, but I've read and was moved by, that the South really ended up helping John F. Kennedy be elected president. And there was concern at first about aligning with Martin Luther King for this new presidency and this new, what it meant to the Democratic Party. And but of course, both of those men, as president and attorney general, were steeped in being workers for peace and being honest and caring about everybody and justice. And so Robert F. Kennedy ended up talking to Coretta King, Martin King's wife, and really helping save his life at one point when he was being arrested, and then he was being taken out of the jail into the night, and he was brought back safely. And so now fast forward to Robert F. Kennedy deciding to run for president. And Martin Luther King was still alive. His brother was gone. There had been a pause in the whole administration, you know, new things were happening from the assassination of the president. But I actually have written out a little bit of the story because it has moved me and overtaken my mind so much in this past couple weeks. And when I realized that I was going to speak because of synchronicity, so I'm going to ask us today, as we talk and think about our own frequencies, our own desire to hold our energy high, to have love and peace and justice and gratitude high in our hearts, high in our mindset, high in our frequency, and compassion instead of sorrow, unless it's real personal sorrow. Of course, we're going to use that. But when it's the global sorrow, like we're having to face with the wars and with the starvation and with the more than one war and poverty right outside in our streets here in Duluth, if we can hold compassion, that is a higher frequency and helps build ourselves and the planet and the frequency of the earth. And so now I've been reading about this and listening online to this story of nonviolence and how it was moving in our country through Martin Luther King. And so we have Robert F. Kennedy running for president, and I'm going to read now from the story in the book written about this. Robert Kennedy was running for president, and he was scheduled for a campaign speech in the roughest part of Indianapolis, in the heart of the black ghetto, where no other white politicians would go. And just before heading into to speak, he heard that Martin Luther King had been assassinated. And this, of course, was a tremendous shock. And his brother had been assassinated very recently. And so Martin Luther King had been shot and killed in Memphis. And the police had asked him not to go in for the scheduled campaign speech, and he refused. He said he was going in, and they withdrew their police protection. And the police warned him not to go in, and when he said he was going to, the captain withdrew his police escort, and the crowd was excited. They didn't know about the shooting yet. The crowd was excited. The night was cold. He climbed up onto a flatbed to address the people. I have bad news for you, for all our fellow citizens and people who work for peace all over the world. He urged them not to be filled with bitterness, with hatred, with a desire for revenge. We could respond, he said, with violence and polarization, or we could make an effort, as Martin Luther King did, to understand and to comprehend and to replace that violence with an effort to understand with compassion and love all the pieces, all the parts of the story. I added that part. But to understand with compassion and love. And when he flew home that night, he learned that there had been riots across the whole country, and great burning and great people killed. And where he spoke was one of the few peaceful places left. So that next morning, he's home. He goes into Washington, D.C., where he's still the Attorney General. And I mean, where he is running for president now. His brother has been killed. And it's burning piles of rubble. And he climbed up on top of an exploded building. And a black woman standing in the street looked up at him through the smoke. And she said, "Oh, it's you. I knew you would be here." Now, people, what that means to me about my resonance is two things. I want us to realize that that's who we are inside. I know you know this. We are disappointed with ourselves. Steve, is that our microphone? Okay, we'll forget that. So, inside, we have these voices of dislike, disappointment, worse, for ourselves. And we also have love, peace, and compassion for ourselves. So for me, this is a story, yes, about the world and about our history and about our human race and the walk we're still on toward nonviolence. However, it's also very much about myself, and I'm going to use an example. All day, comes up all the time, does for all of us. I bump into a thought of, oh my gosh, I didn't do that. I care about that person. I forgot to take care, to reach out. I forgot to do something. And I realize my energy goes, shoo, drops right down. about how I feel about my life in that moment. And so we're enacting this process where we could open ourselves to the bigger picture of all the parts of the story, just like Robert Kennedy did, saying, you know, we could respond with hate and violence, or we could seek to comprehend and join this journey with love, with peace. And so what I'm practicing learning is that when I think of something where I have failed my values, I have betrayed myself, I'm realizing I have the choice to lift myself up and say, I love you, to the person that I didn't call, didn't text, didn't whatever, and go higher. Because I thought of them, and instead I'm using the old habit of going down and hurting myself, saying in some way, you didn't do a good job, Carolyn, to, oh my gosh, I love you now. Oh my gosh, I love the trees that I didn't hug today. I love. And wanting to do this. Now, Pam Gregory, who's one of the teachers online, a lot about frequency, also astrology. She's an astonishing person. And many of us are listening to her. And she uses a technique she calls flick. And she says, when we find ourselves in a low frequency moment, she encourages us to flick and turn it into good. Choose instead, choose again. She says she gets up in the morning, and one example of something she might say is, I'm going to dominate my day with joy. I'm going to dominate my day with gratitude. I resisted the word at first, frankly, people. I did not want to say dominate. But I've decided it's a powerful word, and it really connects with my energy. I'm going to dominate my day with compassion and gratitude. And I can be grateful to myself that I thought of the person at all. You know, grateful that they came to mind. And so this journey we're on now of participating in a change in the world that has never been done, and that we're realizing through the new science. Now, this is not imaginal thinking. This is reality thinking. That new physics is showing us we're a holographic cosmos. And Pam calls us one living consciousness. Pam says that we are all parts. She says, the whole cosmos is one living divine consciousness. We are consciousness, and we are aspects of that consciousness. But because we are all one divine consciousness, and that's what they're proving. They've proved that time and space do not exist to communicate. So I've maybe told the story before, but it's so easy for me to grasp it when I do this, and it's very short. Early on, when they were beginning to study prayer, to write books about prayer, Larry Dossey was one of the people. This is probably 20 years ago, and quantum physics was just coming along, and they were doing experiments with petri dishes with bacteria in them, and let's say they were in India, and in California they had people praying, and they were talking to the bacteria, praying for the bacteria with love in India. They got it immediately. They sent bad thoughts, and they said bad things to those petri dishes. They got it immediately. No time, no space. That's how our feelings connect. Now we know no time, no space to connect with the farthest reaches of the cosmos. Some 3 men just got a Nobel Prize for this, not maybe one of the big prizes, like just in the last 2-3 years. They proved it with the cosmos. No time, no space. So we are generating every second. We are the radio station in every second to the cosmos. And it's coming back in, too. And so we can live in that paradigm. And with the flick, and then I want to touch on just one more thing. Time is going fast, but one of the things that I've chosen to be conscious about and actually work on is hard conversations, difficult conversations to carry, to hold. I don't know, 30 years, 40 years, very much in the last 20 years. And so I have just realized how important they are, how much we live in keeping our mouth shut when there's something that really could use being said to support the wholeness of the situation with just one other person or with a group. And I realized that, we just haven't been taught that. And so that I was going to give myself permission to stumble, to do it badly, and to ask for forgiveness, and to ask for just solidarity, and let's figure this out. Because I don't dislike you or like you anymore because we have the conversation. And ultimately, we always end up liking each other more, or not liking each other more, but having more understanding and empathy. And now we're right back to nonviolence. And we're back to nonviolence. Nonviolence for ourselves, that we would want to keep our mouth shut on something that hurt us, or something that happened that we maybe had some responsibility in. So you can see where my mind is going in this big circle. And, or I hope you can. And so we want to hold those hard conversations with ourselves and with others. And I think there's a million ways we could sit and really learn from each other and brainstorm about this. But I think it has helped me to just say, there's a hard conversation I'd like us to open up to for a minute. I have something hard to say. It's not easy. It doesn't have to be personal. But I want us to figure out how we might be able to deal with this situation, this thing I did, or this thing that you did. And we're all just doing our best. And really authentically soften the message, soft hearts, so that we can come to ourselves with our own soft heart when we have hurt ourselves or have dropped in our frequency or failed to have a hard conversation. Sometimes it's just a slightly hard conversation. Like, I'm tired of thinking about this. I'm tired of talking about this. Or how about if we flick this conversation? Who knows what we can learn to do? It's going to make us a more peaceful person and a more peaceful world, I think, if we tell the truth with love and as much time as it takes and so forth. So that's an idea there. And then the last thing I want to bring our attention to, which can help with this, is Ho'oponopono. All of you know Ho'oponopono? Yes? Okay, so there's a couple of different versions. I use the I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you one. And so let's just say that together. I guess I'll say it first, we'll say it, and then we'll say it after me. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. You can do them in any order, I just goofed up that order. But that is, again, something that Pam Gregory has brought to my attention as something that she uses with a hard conversation. That would be a good fit for right there, is just starting to use that in her mind, hearts, words, just when there's an issue. She doesn't have to be talking to the person in real life. Just do it over and over with our heart, and saying it, and have that intention for that situation or that person. And as we know, it's an ancient tradition in the Hawaiian spirituality body of deep knowledge. So with that, I say thank you. With that, I say, let's turn now to our offering. Father God, thank you for this offering, our time, our talents, our tithe, all of us here together. Thank you for us to be a community that does well. And now, my friends, our invocation, our benediction, and we'll gather in our circle. I begin with, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Dear Creator Source, lift us up to hold these lives that are such precious lives with our own compassion for ourselves and the world and our gratitude. Amen.